Hello, babies. I got a little golden book for fall time. It's Johnny Appleseed. I've already started my snacky snack. I'm not going to bite into it and chomp it in your face, but I'm excited to check out old Johnny's Appleseed in my little golden book. Oh, the Lord's been good to me, and so I thank the Lord for giving me the things I need, the sun and the rain and the apple seed. We used to sing that at Girl Scout camp when I was a little girl. Of course, my mama taught it to me before then, but I've never seen this little golden book, and I'm excited about it. So, on a fine September day more than 200 years ago, a boy named John Chapman was born. This is a real guy. He really did these things. Someday he would be famous, but he would be known by a different name, Johnny Appleseed. Johnny grew up in Massachusetts in a small, crowded house. I struggle with that word, Massachusetts, in Mass. He liked to take long walks in the woods where it was calm and quiet. Oh, I do too, Johnny. He liked to feel the sun on his face and the earth under his bare feet. I'm going to tell you what, Johnny's out there grounding before we even knew about grounded. I'm going to go home and walk outside in my backyard in my bare feet and face the sun. Johnny was 200. He was a Renaissance man. He was 200 years before his time. When Johnny turned 18, he took a very long walk, kind of like Forrest Gump, more than 400 miles. He brought along food, supplies, and a sack of apple seeds. Johnny had an idea, a cunning plan. Settlers were starting to go west in covered wagons looking for new places to live. Johnny figured they would want apples to eat and press into cider, but there were no apple trees out west. Even if the settlers planted seeds, it would take years for trees to sprout and grow fruit. Why not give the settlers a head start? What a thoughtful man, because he was not wrong. Johnny reached Pennsylvania. Near a river, he found a patch of land with rich soil and plenty of sunlight, a perfect place for growing apple trees. He planted some seeds, then he built a sturdy fence so that when the new seedlings came up, deer and rabbits wouldn't eat them. It was his first nursery. Bless his little heart. I wonder if it's still there. We should find out. Johnny planted more seeds, thousands of them, across Pennsylvania, Ohio, and Indiana. He worked and he walked, going from nursery to tend his trees. Meanwhile, the settlers came. Sure enough, they wanted apples. They were happy to pay Johnny a few cents apiece for seedlings. Sometimes he even gave them away to families who were down on their luck. That was very kind of him. People spread the word about Johnny and his apple trees. That's how he got his nickname. Have you met Johnny Appleseed? He's mighty kind, people said. Mighty peculiar, too. Peculiar means weird. I like weird in a person. It was true. For one thing, Johnny looked strange. He wore old ragged pants. He cut holes in coffee sacks to make his shirts. He still didn't wear shoes. By now, folks claimed his feet were so tough a snake's fangs couldn't prick them. You know, my granddaddy's feet were pretty tough. I can remember him walking in his garden barefoot. Like, not on the normal, just on occasion. People even swore they saw Johnny wear a tin pot for a hat. You know, you always see that in the pictures of Johnny Appleseed where he's wearing a pot on his head. I do not know if that is actually a true fact. So he'd wear it on his head and then cook his dinner in it. Johnny's diet was another thing people couldn't get over. He didn't like to hurt animals, so he wouldn't eat meat, not one bite. He filled up on corn mush, potatoes, and nuts instead. He was a vegan, or even probably vegan before it was even a thing, because he didn't have shoes either. And when night fell, Johnny liked to sleep outdoors. He'd settle into a hollow log or stretch out on a pile of leaves. No, sir, no, thank you. There's creepy crawlies that I'm not sharing my bed with. He didn't seem to worry about the bears and panthers that roamed the woods. It was almost as if Johnny was a forest creature himself. Yeah, Mimzie has seen those out in the wild before. I have seen bears, and I have seen coyotes, and I have even seen a mountain lion. I have. I was not even alone either time I saw one. Quit telling me I didn't see one. Papa, I did. Johnny might have been odd, but he was friendly. He got along with just about everyone he met. Native Americans shared their trails with him. They showed him which berries were safe to eat. Good to know you eat the wrong one and you do not wake up the next day. and how to make medicine from leaves and roots. I know about sassafras. Settlers invited Johnny into their cabins and asked him to tell stories. Sometimes he read from the Bible. Good news fresh from heaven, he'd say. Other times he acted out his own wild adventures. I bet that was entertaining. You know, they didn't have television, no interwebs. People retold Johnny's tales and made up new ones too. As the years went by, the tales grew taller and taller. That means they weren't actually true. Did you know that Johnny can thaw ice with his bare feet? That's not true. He couldn't do that. He has a tame wolf that follows him around like a puppy. That wasn't true either. Once, he tricked 10 woodsmen into a chopping contest. They cleared a whole acre of land for a nursery. I bet that wasn't true either. That's what we call a tall tale. The stories wound their way east and west and back again. So did Johnny. He traveled hundreds of miles a year, making new nurseries and tending the old ones. Every so often he rode a horse or paddled a canoe, but most of the time he walked, and he walked, and he walked. He kept this up for 50 years. That's me. He kept it up for as long as I've been alive. One day, when he was 70 years old, okay, that's older than Mimzie, Johnny walked through a snowstorm to fix a fence around some of his trees. Afterward, he fell ill and died. But it's not the end. Johnny was sorely missed, but he was not forgotten, and neither was his great idea. As settlers moved further and further west, they carried along apple seeds just the way Johnny had. They planted apple trees on their own. Today, apples grow in every state in America. We have lots of apples in Arkansas. We even have a black apple. I need one of those. Oh, Johnny and his apples. The apples that grew on Johnny's trees were mostly spitters. That meant they were too sour to eat. Settlers used them to make cider and vinegar. Johnny's worn-out clothes made him look poor, but he wasn't. When he died, he owned over 1,000 acres of land. Oh, wow. There's a monument for Johnny in Indiana near the spot where he died. The stone lists both of his names, John Chapman and Johnny Appleseed, and underneath he lived for others. Johnny probably walked more than 100,000 miles in his lifetime. That is a fun story. I just loved it. And I love apples, but not as much as I love you.